Giving students choice in their learning. Kindergarten through high school schooling oftentimes is remembered by us or viewed by others. It's sort of a strict set of rules that you follow. Somebody told you where you were going to sit, they told you when you were going to get in line, you had to be quiet in line before you could all go use the restroom, things of that nature. And there is a value in that it teaches kids how to work in a larger group, and it keeps everybody safe, and it sort of helps a teacher get a large group of kids through a day in sort of a measured way. For many students, they appear to believe that that's how school works. Somebody's going to tell them what to do, how to do it, how to think, the whole way through their training. And of course, once they get to us, we are expecting them to take more responsibility for their own learning. For them to be able to say, I need to work harder on this piece, or I already have experience for that piece. Or for them to be able to say, I need to practice this skill more. When we think about adult learners, often those are described as people who are self-directed, that they want to make those decisions about their learning. They're practical and really want to spend their time on things that are clearly going to benefit them in their future training or in their job. And they want to be able to demonstrate what they already know and what they already can do, and to link what they're doing to what they already know how to do, and to be able to share that experience with others. So our students in the veterinary college lie somewhere on that spectrum, from being very dependent learners who need to be told what to do, to being very independent learners where they are making more decisions about what they want. And so if we want them to grow towards that independence, we need to help them take those opportunities. And one way we can do that is to give them some choices about what they do as a learner, and to help them learn from what they do well and from where they struggle. We need to think about what this means for student motivation. We want our students to be motivated to learn, hopefully not just hunting for points, but really wanting to learn the information. And things that have been demonstrated to decrease student motivation include requiring them to come and be in a classroom when there isn't a clear reason for why they should have to be there, inflexibility around the work that must be done and how it must be done, and lack of responsiveness to what they already know. I don't care if you know how to do this skill, I'm going to make you practice this skill 5 more times. That sort of thing decreases the student's motivation. Things that have been demonstrated to increase student motivation include clarity around expectations, permitting them to use or share their personal experience, and giving them choice. These are things that we can do that help increase the student's desire to work on the material in our course. So what are some ways that we can give students choice in our courses? Well, one way is to let them vote. And some of you already do this. The students have told us that there was a decision being made about whether we were going to meet in person or not. You let the students vote. There was a decision made about whether we needed an extra laboratory session. You let the students vote. And so if it's something like that where you're thinking of changing something or offering something you haven't in the past, take a class vote. And then you just have to be clear. Does it have to be a unanimous vote, or are we going to go with whatever the majority wants to do? And that gives them some choice in deciding what's going to happen in that class. You can let them choose some of the groups that they work in. So sometimes it's wise to have a consistent group, because then they go through that whole storming and norming function where they eventually become a more cohesive and productive group. But for smaller projects, sometimes it's fine to let them decide. You can do this alone, or you can do it with one partner, or up to 3 of you in a group. And that gives them some element of choice. When they're in a group, you can have the class as a whole work on deciding what are the group norms. How are we going to function in this group? Does everybody have to work on every piece of the project? Are we going to rotate who has which jobs in the group? This helps reinforce things that they learned in GOLI about how they should support each other and work in groups as they move forward as professionals. And it also gives them sort of a basis for the behavioral norms that are going to help them in every class where they have a group project. You can let them choose some aspect of their coursework. So for example, you could say, as part of this course, you have to complete 5 of these assignments. There are 8. You can pick the 5 that you want to do. Or you can let them choose which species they do. You need to describe What happens if there's failure of passive transfer and you can choose that in the foal or the calf or a puppy? Or you need to describe respiratory disease in birds, and here are the 5 diseases you can choose from. Things like that. Letting them pick something that they're really interested in, or maybe pick something that's going to make them stretch themselves. Picking a species they're not as knowledgeable of, for example, as a way of choosing to deepen their own learning in that other species. You can let them choose the grading scheme. So we already have the ability to say students can choose if they're going to be AF or pass-fail in my course if we choose to do that. Or we can do contract grading where you let them consciously choose how much work they're going to do to get the grade that they desire in the course. And then finally, we could give students free time. And the college is working on this, trying to provide students with catch-up days throughout the semester, where that's a day that they can go to the dentist. That's a day that they can sleep in. That's a day that they can go shopping with their mother. That's a day that they can choose to take an exam or to complete a big project. But giving them the freedom to choose what they do on that day instead of always having to hit the deadlines that we give them. We're driving their schedule. And these catch-up days gives them some choice about how they spend that time in their life. Couple of cautions when thinking about giving them choice, and one of them is the paradox of choice, as was described in this book by Barry Schwartz. And the idea here is that we all feel like if we have a lot of choices, that's going to make us happier. But the truth is that there's a tipping point where there's so many choices that you just can't decide. You absolutely are unhappy because you have too many options. And so don't feel like you have to do all of the things I just suggested. Pick one thing, just do a simple thing as a way to start with giving students some choice, because they themselves will struggle with this paradox of choice if we give them too many options. They feel like they're missing out somehow or making wrong choices. So it's good to give them opportunities to choose, but you don't have to go wild with how many of those opportunities you provide. And then remember that if you are going to give them choices, you have to be ready to provide grading and feedback on more than one choice. So I'm showing you here the syllabus for non-traditional pets, and in the non-traditional pets course, some examples of how I give them options are, there is a test out option, which nobody took. Last year was the first time I offered it, and nobody took the test out option, but I gave them that choice. It is contract graded, so they decide what grade they're going to earn by what work they complete and how many points they earn on those assignments. They are given an application exercise, which is a big integrating exercise, and I give them 2 possibilities for which exercise they do. And last year it was split about half and half for who did which of those. And then finally they do extra credit cases, and I give them a variety of species and disorders. They can do 3 out of the 8, and they can choose which of the species and disorders they want to do. Multiple studies have shown that giving them this choice is associated with them showing better effort in the course and with doing better on formative and summative assignments and assessments. And in the study that's shown here, this was in undergraduate training, the students strongly supported choice because they felt that it allowed them to really focus on the things that were of greatest interest to them. It influenced their engagement. They felt much more a part of the course and much more empowered in the course because they felt responsible for their own learning because they were being given this choice. If you have any questions about the content of this teaching tip, I'm Dr. Peggy Root, and you can reach me at rootk001@umn.edu.